The 1970s saw a boom in oil and gas exploration off the east coast of Scotland. The black gold discovered and extracted from the rich and plentiful oil reserves deep under the North Sea brought unimagined prosperity to a country struggling to pull itself out of post-war austerity and suffering a post-industrial economic decline. The genie was let out of the bottle. Over millions of years, hydrocarbons formed in narrow, deep ocean basins teeming with near-surface life. This buried organic matter was preserved and heated, and over time eventually decomposed to create black mud rocks, which generated the oil and gas trapped far underground. The hydrocarbons found deep beneath the North Sea would turn out to be some of the finest and sweetest, most valuable crude oil imaginable. Beyond being refined for fuels, this oil and natural gas was perfect for producing other high-value petrochemical products that form the primary ingredients in so many of the items we've come to rely on in our modern day-to-day lives. Many fertilizers, paints, solvents, plastics, food additives, and pharmaceuticals, to name but a few, contain refined petrochemical products. The UK has a number of large-scale petrochemical refineries around its coast. As these refineries developed, they became hubs around which have grown industrial clusters. Industries reliant on refined hydrocarbon products locate close to the source of their primary ingredients. From the technology we take for granted to the medicines we rely on, few in society have not benefited in their life from a refined hydrocarbon product from one of these refineries. But this has come at a vast, unseen cost. An unwanted byproduct of burning and refining hydrocarbons is the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide, or CO2. It's not just the petrochemical industry releasing this harmful gas into our atmosphere. Other industries our world is heavily reliant on, such as cement and steel production, have high CO2 emission rates. And where the fuel they use has a potential alternative in renewable energy, the vast amount of CO2 created as a byproduct of their industrial processes is unavoidable. The amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are now at their highest level for at least the last 800,000 years. The CO2 forms a layer around the planet and acts like a greenhouse to trap in heat. And there is no shortage of scientific data to show just how rapidly and effectively this particular greenhouse works. There are few today who would deny the devastating effects of global warming. As the world commits to reaching net zero carbon by the middle of this century, and in Scotland's case, even sooner, the only way to hit those targets is to remove CO2 from the equation. And that is where Scotland, the UK, and the rest of Europe can help create the largest and most critical cyclical economy in the world. Many of the early North Sea oil and gas reserves are now coming to the end of their current life cycle for extraction. But there is plenty of life left in much of the equipment. The porous rocks which once held oil and gas are lying underused and underground. And the skilled workforces with geological and industrial knowledge are looking for new employment challenges. We propose that it's time to pivot these skills and assets and switch from extraction to injection. Carbon capture and storage, CCS, allows climate-damaging CO2 to be captured during industrial processes to prevent it from entering the atmosphere. Once captured, it can be transported through existing subsea pipelines, repurposed for CO2 transport, and injected back deep underground to be permanently stored in the empty reservoirs that supplied us with the black gold of the past. With the existing infrastructure and extensive knowledge base and experience, Scotland, the UK and Europe are in a position to lead the world in industrial CCS. There is arguably nowhere safer and more secure to store that unwanted, planet-changing byproduct of our modern world, CO2. We can and must put the genie back in the bottle before it's too late.